the gym. Keep wearing a snug-fitting mask with multiple cloth layers. Together, we can end this pandemic. Visit covid19.ca.gov today to learn more. Brought to you by the Center at Sierra Health Foundation.
Getting families vaccinated against COVID-19 is an important step to bringing back joy for all of us. That's within reach now that the Pfizer vaccine is safe and effective for those 12 and older. This is the same vaccine millions of Californians have already gotten. California is even adding new vaccine clinics specifically for young people. Together, we can end the pandemic. Visit vaccinateall58.com or call 833-422-4255 to learn more.
KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk. 911 system is totally broken. You call, you're on hold. You get a recording saying the first available operator will get to you. People call 911 and they ask for recipes for cornbread. And what's even worse, the 911 operator will handle. Listen to them. Mornings from 6 to 10. KFI. KFI. AM 640.
Your calls next hour with Robert Wagoner. Looking forward to that as we talk about dreams. Much more to talk with him about when we come back on this incredible moment. Because I got to tell you, things are really strange out there, but things are getting better and better and better for a lot of people. That's good. Tom, paranormaldate.com, where people are meeting up and having a great time, is now just 180 people shy of 111,000 signed up members.
Amazing, and it's going to keep climbing. And they are meeting, and they are having fun. And if you're a senior and you're looking for that special someone, well, we've got you covered there, too. We have paranormaldate.com/seniors, where you can find that person that's 60-plus, people that think like you do. So they talk about things you do, you like, so head on over. It's paranormaldate.com/seniors.
Super. And if you're looking for ways to preserve youth, here you go.
Instant Beauty stunning results that best describe instantly ageless. A velvety microcream applied lightly on forehead wrinkles, eyebrows, under eye bags, crow's feet, facial pores, and hooded eyes. Within minutes, skin is tight and smooth. No needles, no pain. And great for women and men. Here's what people are saying about instantly ageless.
I've probably noticed in the past 5 years that my eyes have gained a lot of fine lines, wrinkles, my crow's feet have gotten deeper. Wow, I was hoping for 5 years, but that's like what my eyes looked like 10 years ago.
That is really cool. Wrinkle gone? It's easy. You just put it on your finger and go.
Now I wish I had more down here because I can still see one wrinkle that's bugging me. I am a little bit emotional. I'm turning 40. I didn't think would be a big deal to me. But that looks like the me that I feel like inside instead of what I see when I look in the mirror.
Instant results with Instantly Ageless. Now Instantly Ageless is shipped for free with smart delivery. Just use discount code George. If you would like to sample Instantly Ageless, order our hassle-free starter kit with free shipping for only $19.99. Instantly Ageless is not available in stores, so order today at healthylooking.com. That's healthylooking.com. Or by phone, 800-604-3129. 800-604-3129, 24/7. Instantly ageless from healthylooking.com.
Let's talk for a moment about HelloFresh, the ability to cook some real great restaurant-style meals at home, and you can share the fun with your entire family. This is incredible. First of all, the food comes to you. You don't go to the store to get it. You skip the grocery store, the crowds and everything else. It's not takeout food, and it's not microwavable stuff. You cook it. It's whole restaurant-quality meals made with fresh, pre-portioned ingredients that you can prepare in as little as 20 minutes. Simple as that. HelloFresh sends you all the ingredients right to your door, delivers them contact-free. You can also get this easy-to-follow group of recipe cards with pictures every step of the way. If you have never cooked, you'd be a great chef by looking at these recipe cards. You'll never run out of meals. They've got 25 chef-related recipes to pick from each week. And HelloFresh is 28% cheaper than shopping at your local grocery store. Go to HelloFresh.com/George12 and use code George12 to get 12 free meals, including free shipping. That code again is George12 at HelloFresh.com/George12 for 12 free meals. HelloFresh.com/George12 and then use code George12.
I've driven a limo for 11 years. It might sound glamorous, but it's tiring, repetitive physical work. I got to a point where I was in severe pain and couldn't get my leg or stand up straight when I got out of the vehicle. Then I fell and drove my neck really bad. I could not drive or lift anything for months. When I heard Dr. Wallach on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, everything he said made sense. Once I eliminated the bad foods and started giving my body the right nutrients, I could feel the difference right away. I started sleeping through the night. My body didn't hurt all the time, and I was driving again in 3 months. I went from 230 pounds to 170 pounds. My life has completely changed, and I am so grateful to Dr. Joel Wallach. My name is Marcella Sanchez. Visit criticalhealthnews.com. Sign up for the newsletter to receive Dr. Wallach's 10 Bad Foods list and other invaluable nutritional advice. Call 855-949-RADIO to speak to an experienced nutritional consultant. That's 855-949-7234 and criticalhealthnews.com.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you, with Robert Wagner, as we talk about lucid dreaming and dreams in general. What kinds of dreams have you had, Robert, beyond lucid dreams? Have you had precognitive dreams and things like that?
Right. You were mentioning 911 earlier. About 6 months before 911 occurred, I began to have a series of extraordinary dreams. In fact, in one of them, a dream figure said the word 911.
Oh, geez.
But of course, at that time, 911 is an emergency phone call. But as it got to August, I told my wife that something's happening, something's going to happen, like Pearl Harbor or the start of the Great Depression. And she asked me, well, what do we do? And I said, that's the weird thing. It really doesn't involve us. It's going to happen out there in the world. And so when it finally did happen, boy, I felt kind of a sense of...
It hit you, didn't it?
So it's really powerful. It's very powerful.
It truly did. Back to lucid dreaming. What do neurologists say about dreams, for example?
You know, that's one of the beautiful things about lucid dreaming is that it has a very solid scientific structure behind it. Back in the late 70s, there were two different researchers, Keith Hearn in England and Stephen LaBerge at Stanford, and they both realized that you could bring a dreamer or a lucid dreamer into the sleep lab and put rapid eye movement holograph pads on their eyes that record their movement of their eyes while they're dreaming. And they told them, when you become lucidly aware, move your eyes left to right 8 times, and that'll be such a strange signal on the rapid eye movement holograph pad readout that it'll provide evidence for lucid dreaming. And so that's how the evidence for it emerged. And since that time, there's been other researchers who put EEG skull caps on lucid dreamers, had them signal with their eyes, they're lucidly aware, and then they got their brain activity during the lucid dreaming state, which showed that the cerebral cortex, or the newer part of the brain, suddenly parts of it begin to light up, which is very unusual in normal dreaming. But that's what happens in lucid dreaming, because now you're a self who needs to make decisions and decide what they want to do in the lucid dream.
Robert, do you think we'll ever get technology where you can hook up electrodes to somebody's brain and then they fall asleep and dream, and you could then see it on a screen, the dream, like a movie?
You know, we're moving further into understanding actual neural networks of dreaming, and so they'll give mice a new type of activity, a new kind of maze they have to figure out in order to get their food reward. And then when they study the neural patterns of the mice as they're sleeping, they can see that, oh, now they've made these changes in their dream. And so it's really fascinating to think that maybe someday we'll get to that level where we can actually know what people are dreaming about just by watching certain brain activity or certain neural activity.
Wouldn't that be amazing, though, if you could literally see the pictures of the dream up on a screen as they're dreaming? It might be one of the highest rated movies out there.
It'd be definitely dreamland. That would just be incredible.
But we might be able to get that way. I mean, Elon Musk is talking about Neuralinks, putting in chips in people's brains and stuff like that. Who knows what capabilities they might have?
You really don't know. And it's also interesting to see that kind of lucid dreaming, the evidence for it came out around the same time that virtual reality and augmented realities were starting to get going in those very early years. And so it's kind of interesting to think of lucid dreaming as a kind of a type of virtual reality. But the interesting thing is, in a game like Fortnite or Minecraft, you know that someone coded it, and there's a limit to the software program. But I always ask people, in a lucid dream, who coded the lucid dream? And that's when you realize that you're interacting with your unconscious mind, your larger awareness, and it's profoundly deep. It seems infinite.
Sigmund Freud, the neurologist, was into dreams in a big way, wasn't he?
Right.
How did he get into that? What got him so fascinated by dreams?
You know, he went to Paris and saw a gentleman, Charcot, who hypnotized people in order to help them overcome physical limitations, like people who had a paralyzed leg. But when he hypnotized them, they were no longer paralyzed in their leg. And so Freud, seeing that, realized that the unconscious mind was extraordinarily powerful, and he realized the easiest way to access what was going on in the unconscious mind was having people tell them his dreams and working together to try to interpret those dreams. And oftentimes by doing that, then they'd have incredible revelations and realize what were the blocks and various difficult aspects in their life. So that's how he got started. The interpretation of dreams came out in 1899. That was 120 years ago.
Do you think that people like Leonardo da Vinci had special dreams in order to do what they did, or Nostradamus?
You have to assume so, because in dreaming, there's so much creativity just naturally occurring. In fact, there's a number of Nobel Prize winners who report that the solution to their scientific problem came to them in a dream. And so when you see these scientists saying that dreaming brought them creative ideas, and you begin to see the importance of how that connects us to something even larger than ourselves.
Robert, you of course know what astral projection is.
Right.
Is dreaming a little bit like that?
You know, sometimes people ask me if lucid dreaming is just another way of saying OBE, or astral projection. And I think they differ. I tell people it's kind of like the difference between a house cat and a mountain lion. They're both felines, but other than that, they have a lot of differences. For example, in a lucid dream, you realize within a dream you're dreaming. But in an OBE, you might, like, let's say, have a heart attack, and now you're floating at above the ceiling, looking at the doctors and nurses trying to get your heart going.
Right, in real life.
Right. So where is the realizing you're dreaming within the dream in that kind of scenario? But the issue is, as you get deeper into it, you realize that Robert Monroe, who is kind of the father of OBEs, he said that he thought the main difference was that in the OBE, the environment was stable. Things did not change. But in a lucid dream, if you think about something differently, if you don't like the color of that wall and want it to be purple, you just intend it to be
think
purple
it, and it changes.
think it and make it happen. And so that's what Robert Monroe felt was the big difference. OBEs, you're in a stable environment. Lucid dreams, you're in a mentally generated or mentally constructed environment, and you change your mind and things change.
Where does remote viewing fit in with this?
You know, I think remote viewing, it's interesting. Once I was at an International Association for the Study of Dreams conference, and a scientist, I'm not going to bring up his name, he said that he received pair funding to do basically remote viewing and lucid dreams, and they had targets that they were to get. And once they concluded all the work, the research group said that, well, lucid dreaming, accessing the target image was just as good as remote viewing, but they liked remote viewing better because people could just sit there and do it, you know, as they're sitting there in their easy chair. And so even though they were equally the same in terms of efficacy, it was just easier to deal with remote viewers who were sitting in the chair.
What about people, Robert, who have spiritual dreams or bizarre dreams? What are they doing?
You know, it just depends. There's what I would call legitimate spiritual dreams that are truly powerful, where people interact with spiritual figures. And there's some wonderful stories of people receiving healings or receiving information outside of their own knowing. But there's other times when people tell me dreams, and it makes me realize that they're actually dealing with what you might call the shadow, which Carl Jung called the denied, ignored, repressed aspects of the self. And so oftentimes those show up as shadow dreams in which you're being chased by a monster or the zombies appear or something like that. And those can be very powerful dreams, especially if you become lucidly aware and ask that monster, who are you, or what do you represent? And oftentimes when you hear what it represents, then you have a real revelation, but you almost have to become lucid to have that. So spiritual dreams run the gamut, but some of them I think are just sometimes the psychological issues kind of taking a spiritual form.
Going back, who would you say is the best researcher dealing with dreams in the past?
That, you know, people have been talking about dreams since Aristotle. Even I think Aristotle reported a lucid dream. But we just have some wonderful researchers out there. But when it comes to lucid dreaming, Stephen LaBerge, he became kind of the father of lucid dream research and really opened it up so that people accepted it and began to see some of the potential. And that's what I've tried to do in my book, is open up even the broader potential of lucid dreaming.
Some people will cry in their dreams. How do they get so emotional?
You know, oftentimes one thing that researchers have discovered that often in dreaming is sometimes when we have our highest heart rate, our highest respiration rate. Sometimes all sorts of neurochemicals are being sent throughout the body by what we're experiencing in the dream state. So it's not unusual. It might be, in fact, a way for the body to kind of reach equilibrium of some sort. That on deeper levels, the body knows we need certain neurochemicals in order to deal with whatever is going on in our life, and creates dreams to produce those neurochemicals. But you're right. Sometimes we might wake up crying with tears in our eyes, tears of joy. And also sometimes tears of grief or sadness.
There are some dreams that you have, and you thank God it was just a dream. What's a nightmare?
Right. And so you know, a nightmare and sometimes vivid dreams are just like that. You just feel convinced that it happened, and you feel stunned when you wake up, and it might take a few hours before you realize that thing that seemed so real a moment ago,
it wasn't.
Well, it wasn't. It was just a dream. So all of that just shows, you know, the power of the inner mental experience of dreaming and what an effect it can have on a person.
Well, what creates the nightmare?
You know, oftentimes...
it's not the pizza.
But it might be all sorts of energy collected. You might feel stressed at work and you can't express your stress or you can't deal with it. And then it gets symbolically portrayed and represented in the dream state. Or it might be some fear or concern that you have that's kind of wandering around in the back of your mind that you might not have really expressed, and all of a sudden it comes shooting forward. But oftentimes I feel that all dreams come in the way of health and wholeness, and that was a statement that Jeremy Taylor, who was a dream worker, would say, that all dreams came in the way of health and wholeness. So even those nightmares are coming to make us aware of something, and hopefully we'll respond in a good way that we benefit from that.
There was a movie, gosh, I can't remember the name of it, where people could dream to enter somebody else's dream and try to kill them. It was, one of these sci-fi type movies.
Right.
And what they would try to do is, in the dream, scare the guy to have a heart attack or something like that. And he would. And he would. Is that conceivable? Can you enter someone else's dream?
You know, it's interesting. There was a wonderful book written by Montague Allman and called Dream Telepathy. And that book is about the NIH studies that were done at the Maimonides sleeping lab in Brooklyn on dream telepathy. And they came up with some wonderful results on dream telepathy. So if you have dream telepathy where one person can influence another person's dreaming, then it really does make you wonder, what are the boundaries? Where are there any actually in the dream state? So it's interesting field to think about and play around with.
I had a caller years ago who kept dreaming of a girl that he was falling in love with in his dream. And this was all one-sided. And he was dreaming and dreaming and dreaming. Well, one day he's at the airport, and coming down the tarmac is this girl, the same girl in his dream.
Right.
And he goes up to her and says, I'm sorry, I have to do this. I have to introduce myself to you. I've been dreaming about you for 6 months. You're incredible. And she said, I've been dreaming about you too. And off they went.
Oh, good grief. Well, that's
how in the world does that happen?
It's fascinating. In our magazine, The Lucid Dreaming Experience, a young guy who's an engineer on the West Coast, he sent in a lucid dream. He became lucidly aware, and he was looking at this man in a turban who he knew was his spiritual teacher. And the spiritual teacher asked him in the lucid dream, what is my name? What is my name? And this engineer, he kept thinking, I know this guy. And finally, from somewhere, he announces Nanak. And the spiritual teacher shakes his head, and smiles and says, yes, you're right, and then gives him advice about his spiritual life. And so this young man, he wakes up and he Googles Nanak, and he finds that Nanak was one of the founders of the Sikh religion, almost 2,000 years ago.
I was going to say, does anybody ever dream about Jesus?
And you'll occasionally have those kind of experiences as well, where people dream about Jesus or one of the disciples or some of the figures from the Old Testament. So you'll have all those kind of fascinating dream reports, and it just makes you wonder, where does all this come from? And are we connected across time and space? Is that evidence for some reincarnational past, or where do we get that kind of knowledge?
All right, we're going to come back in just a moment and take phone calls with Robert Wagner. He'll even interpret your dreams if you want, but definitely ask a question too.
Find out more about tonight's guest. Log on to coasttocoastam.com.
wasted, what are you doing going on television?
Or the radio, for that matter.
Or the radio, for that matter.
Gary and Shannon. Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFI. Contractor license 1047-781.
In a desert climate like this one, air conditioners last only about 11 years. That's still a long time if you compare it to the life of a computer or the average car. The way to make your car last longer is to change the oil. How do you make air conditioners last longer? Get an annual rejuvenation from Gallo. If you've got one of the old ACs that use Freon, you're going to need to replace that because it's illegal to manufacture or import Freon to the U.S. these days. You know what I'm going to do for just $129? What? I'm going to send America's best AC tech to make 6 critical adjustments to bring that air conditioner back to factory specs. We going to clean those outside coils while we're there? You bet. And we're going to clean them the right way, not the easy way. That's $129 you'll ever spend. A Gallo rejuvenation makes your system cool better and faster so that your home uses less energy and has fewer breakdowns. Gallo. It rhymes with cattle, except it starts with a G and it's spelled really weird. Gallo. G-O-E-T-T-L. Will keep you cool, but it's hard to spell.
It was a beautiful June morning in Southern California.
Birds were chirping. The sun was shining.
And somewhere on a quiet residential street, a sink was clogging.
The couple experiencing the clog,
Mr. and Mrs. JP,
did something they had never done before. They called the Smell Good plumbers at Mike Diamond. I'm Mike Diamond. I guarantee my plumbers will show up on time and unclog your sink for $99.
A technician showed up promptly and unclogged the sink.
A few months later, a much more intensive problem turned up in the bathroom.
Mr. JP called Mike Diamond again. They worked up a plan and the repair was made.
Mr. and Mrs. JP felt good enough about the experience to sit down and write us an email.
They commended the Smell Good plumbers on their service and closed by saying they would use Mike Diamond on future services and recommend them to anyone in need of plumbing repairs.
We love Mr. and Mrs. JP, and we'd love for you to read their testimonial and more before calling your next plumber. The address is MikeDiamond.com, or just call us at 1-800-446-MIKE. Contractor's license number 399170. Stimulating talk for independent thought. KFI AM 640 Los Angeles, Orange County.
And KOST HD2.
It's 5 a.m. What did you miss?
It's time for Wake Up Call with Jennifer Jones-Lee.
Well, good morning. Welcome to a Thursday. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Here's what's just ahead on your wake-up call. It's just as we had thought. A married father of 3 has been positively ID'd as the firefighter shot and killed inside a fire station in Agua Dulce. A former MMA star has tapped out of the Huntington Beach City Council. And I kind of love what Tito Ortiz said. I felt like he broke up with the city council. I felt like this is very much something that I would have said in high school to a boyfriend. I'll tell you what he had to say. And the reward to find whoever killed a 6-year-old boy on a freeway in Orange has gone up to $450,000. 505 will talk with ABC's Jim Ryan. So on one hand, former President Trump just decreased his footprint a little bit yesterday. Apparently, and it was his own decision to do that. On the other hand, you've got some in politics who say the former president's influence is more obvious than ever now. So we're going to talk with Jim about the former president's blog coming to an end and how future politicians are using the Trump name in their own campaigns. And is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? We'll find out when we talk with him in just a few minutes. Let's start with some of these stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. A married father of 3 has been ID'd as the firefighter shot and killed inside a fire station in Agua Dulce.
The LA County coroner confirmed Torrey Carlin is the man shot multiple times in the chest by an off-duty LA County firefighter. Carlin was shot Tuesday morning at Station 81 on Sierra Highway. A fire captain was also hit, but he survived. LA County Sheriff's homicide detectives say the off-duty firefighter also worked at Station 81, and it's not clear the exact motive for the attack. Chief Osby said Carlin was a 21-year veteran of the department and was a model firefighter. Moments after the shooting, the off-duty firefighter drove to his home a short distance away, lit his house on fire, and fatally shot himself. Steve Gregory, KFI News.
Officials say a man from Lancaster has been identified as the person responsible for the shooting death of a sergeant from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. Investigators say on May 31st, Sergeant Dominic Vaca tried to pull over a motorcyclist ridden by Balil Shabazz, but Shabazz took off. Eventually, Shabazz jumped on his motorcycle, jumped off the motorcycle, and ran away. During the foot chase, Shabazz shot and killed Vaca and shot at responding deputies. Now, he ended up killing Shabazz. Deputies then killed Shabazz. Investigators say Shabazz had unloaded a handgun and 2 loaded magazines. He was also wanted for a no-bail warrant in L.A. County. Brush fire in Riverside County has burned about 75 acres and is just 5% contained. The fire started in Banning last night about 6:30. CAL FIRE says it's burning in light to medium fuels and about 140 firefighters are working to contain it. Now, former MMA star is tapped out of the Huntington Beach City Council, claiming he's been dodging unfair political jabs since getting elected.
To put it simply, this job isn't working for me.
Former Mayor Pro Tem Tito Ortiz has been criticized for not wearing a mask, supporting anti-vax conspiracy theories, and allegedly filing for unemployment while still collecting money as a councilman.
The attacks against me have moved into all of my family. I now feel for their safety is in danger.
Ortiz's girlfriend recently posted a video of Ortiz's sons being asked to leave school for refusing to wear masks.
I did as best as I possibly could do. I hope I didn't let anybody down.
Ortiz gave his resignation speech on Tuesday. A new council member is expected to be appointed in the coming weeks. In Orange County, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
I told you that's why I felt like he broke up with the city council. Wasn't it? Instead of, this job just isn't working for me. Just insert something else there. This relationship just isn't working for me. Or, it's not you, it's me.
Cool.
Isn't that what it felt like? Anyway, I kind of thought it was great, though. All right, some of the other stories we're watching in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Let's talk COVID. Health officials say a slowdown in vaccine interest is slowing down the target of herd immunity in L.A. County. County Health Director Barbara Ferrer says more people are hesitant to get the shot for various reasons.
We're hoping that with easier access and more opportunities to get questions answered about vaccine safety, we can increase the number of doses we're administering each week.
Ferrer says the county is administering 100,000 doses a week, and at the current rate, herd immunity could happen by late August. Initially, Ferrer said herd immunity was expected by mid to late July. And the reward to find who killed a 6-year-old boy on a freeway in Orange has gone up to $450,000. Aiden Rios was killed nearly 2 weeks ago while riding with his mom on the way to kindergarten. Officials say they are looking for a man and a woman who were in a white Volkswagen Golf Sport wagon in connection with that shooting. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about former President Trump and his footprint. On one hand, yesterday, we saw it decrease. On the other hand, if you're starting to see political candidates across the country, if they are Trump supporters, I feel like they are invoking the former president's name more than ever. So that's coming up with Jim in just a second. Right now, let's take a look at your ride. Hi, Robin. Thanks. What's going on the 10?
Good morning. Let's go to Rosemead. We got a little crash here on the 10 westbound at Walnut Road. Now, it's on the main line, but it is on the off-ramp there at Walnut Road. So the off-ramp is blocked. There are crews on scene. You'll see some flashing lights. North Hollywood on 134 East, just after 101, 170. Metal debris in the carpool lane to avoid. The over the fast, a couple of flat tires on this one vehicle, 405 South at Getty Center. They're on the right shoulder, but watch for somebody trying to change those tires. In Irvine on the 405 at 133 South Connector. There's a wreck on the right shoulder of that transition. In Stillmar, heads up to roadwork, 210 westbound between Hubbard and the 5. Left lane is going to be closed until 6 a.m. So slow down and move over. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Robin Banks.
5:06 on your wake-up call. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. Jim Ryan, good morning to you. Last night when I started Googling